All right. And the epitome of this is the esrog, which represents the four shleimos. But why dafka Tu B'Shvat? So let's hold on to that. Now, with that introduction, let's go into the parsha. I have a series of questions I'm going to ask you, so hold on tight, because we're going to do this rapid fire. You ready? Shkoyach. All right, here we go. There's a few psukim in consecutive sequence that are truly, truly a mystery. And that is the Shirat Hayam at the end, okay? Which then leads us into a couple of other things. So let's just go the overview, okay? The very end of Shirat Hayam is what words? What words mark the end of Shirat Hayam? Does anybody know? Well, you think that Shema is there, but it's not really what's in the pasuk itself. It says as follows: Tiviyemo v'tita tipol aleim ema sabafachad, which we say in part of Kiddush Levana. Let all the enemies of Israel, even those who we are not going to take their land, but they don't want us around. That includes Moab, Moab particularly, and Edom and Plishtim, almost our arch enemies, the Plishtim. And we speak about them as not being very happy. Shamu amim yirgazun, chilachaz yoshvei palashis. The Plishtim are bent out of shape. Az nifalu alufei Edom. The Edomites are all confounded. And Ele Moab yochzemu ra'ad. And the mighty men of Moab are melted. Like, what do they care? We're not coming for their land. So Rashi says they can't bear the success of Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael reaching its national aspirations, that Yimach Shemo Abbas always uses that word. You know, we have our national project. Their national project is based on the destruction of our national project. It's either one or the other. And these guys cannot handle the idea that our national project, well, what is our national project? So continue. It says, Tiviemo v'titaemo bahar nachlatecha. Bring them and implant them on the mountain. Which mountain are we talking about? Which mountain? Right? Machon l'shiftecha. What are we talking about here? Pa'alt Adonai mikdash Adonai konenu yadecha. What are we talking about here? What is the national goal of Klal Yisrael? The Beis HaMikdash. In Shirat Hayam, we fast forward. Now, there is a problem here, though. Moshe Rabbeinu says as follows: Tivi'emo, you Hashem will bring them. What about me? What about Moshe? Right? Moshe, you're not going to bring them? So Rashi says, Nisnava Moshe shelo yikanes la'aretz. Already in the Shirat Hayam, he revealed to Moshe and to everybody else, because they all sang it, that Hashem will bring us in and not Moshe. Lekach lo nemar tiviemo, right? And then it says Mechon l'shiftecha, and it says Mikdash Hashem konenu yadecha. Hashem's hands will build it, but not Moshe's. Whoa, what's that all about? And why does Shir Hayam have to go forward to the Beis HaMikdash? I mean, we just got rid of Paro. Isn't that enough? Let's not get overly greedy here. Right? Shirat Hayam. Very good. Isn't it enough? Very good. Dayenu. And it ends with a pasuk here. Adonai yimloch li'olam va'ed. Again, fast forward. That's what we say in the Beis HaMikdash, right? Isn't that a great place to end the song? That's not where we end the song. One more pasuk. Kivas sus paro v'richbo farashav bayam. Okay, Paro's chariot goes into the Yamsuf. Vayashev Adonai lemes mehayam b'nei Yisrael halchu b'yabasha b'toch hayam. A little redundant. Do I know this already? Do I know that the Paro got drowned? Do I know that the Jewish people went in? So why is that? Finish where you're supposed to finish. Adonai yimloch li'olam v'ed. End. Why does it
We're going to go through it again.
hang on to that. So that's question number one. Now immediately after, and then comes Shirat Miriam. So I'm going to ask you, we had question number one. Question number one is, why does the Shira go all the way to the future? And if it goes all the way to the future, it says stay there. And why was it necessary to talk about Moshe not making it? Why dampen this celebration? Shirat Hayam, after all. Why broadcast to the world that Moshe is not going to make it? It's terrible. That's a disaster. So hang on to that. Next question. Hold on to it. Why did Miriam have to make a Shira? What was it necessary for? With all due respect to equality and egalitarianism and so on and so forth, I don't believe that was Miriam's motivation. Why did Miriam have to step in? And then she does a funny thing. Vatikach Miriam HaNeviah, she's described as what? Achot Aaron. This has to do with some sort of nevuah. What do you mean nevuah? What nevuah? What nevuah? We're dancing because Paro died. That's not a nevuah, that's a reality. She's described as the Neviah who's the sister of Aaron. What's missing?
Moshe wasn't born yet.
So which nevuah are we talking about then? So Rashi points out it was her. When was she a Neviah? Not now, or maybe also now, but the original time when she's a Neviah, that we call her Miriam HaNeviah. What's her famous nevuah? To tell Amram and Yocheved, Shelcha, yours is worse than Paro. You're bringing Gzeira on the boys and the girls. So go and remarry your wife Yocheved and start all over again, because I believe there's a nevuah that what? A Mashiach is going to be born to Klal Yisrael. And even though al pi halacha, Amram and Yocheved might have been right, but there was a nevuah that overrode it. It says, you bring a kid to the world who is almost certainly going to die, and we spoke about this a little bit. She said, no, there's going to be a Mashiach, and I believe in that. And then at that point, she was only Achos Aaron. Why mention that now? Why mention that now? What does that have to do with now? It's a very important part of the story. Right now, let's just focus on the fact that Paro drowned. But didn't it come true even before? Mashiach came. I mean, okay. So you want to say that it really wasn't Yetziat Mitzrayim until right now? Okay, so wait. But you hear the question. Why all of a sudden introduce Miriam HaNeviah, her old nevuah, now? And here's what it says. She had tupim, she had instruments, right? How did she know to bring instruments? Because she believed. Something motivated her to bring instruments. And the last thing is she made mecholos, circle dances. Excuse me, why does she make circle dances? Why didn't the men make circle dances? What, they came to the Horah? Like when they declared the state of Israel, they was dancing the Horah. Dance the Horah, let's go. What's wrong with the men? Oh, men are sitting down. Where's the chopped liver? Pass the chopped liver. What?
They didn't have the faith that the women had.
Faith in what? Let's go a little further. The next question is, Moshe Rabbeinu seems to do something incredibly contradictory. And that is, it said, the next thing that we have here, I'm following a sequence of just a couple of psukim here. It says, Vayasa Moshe es Yisrael miyamsuf. Says Chazal, Rashi quotes, Moshe Rabbeinu literally forced the Jewish people to leave the Yamsuf. Forced them. Machlokas in the Medrash. Whether Moshe did this on his own idea. Let's understand this. How did Bnei Yisrael move in the Midbar? What was their way of moving from right before Kriyas Yamsuf? The Anan. If the Anan moves, you move. Day or night. If the Anan doesn't move, you don't move. The Anan didn't move. Why is Moshe forcing the people to move ahead? Now I'll tell you why it's even a bigger contradiction. We know that the amount of money that was available to be taken from the Egyptians, Bizat Hayam, was far, far greater than what they ended up taking from them in Mitzrayim. How do we know? It's a pasuk in Shiur Shir. Rashi quotes it. Chazal quote it. And what is that? That we say that we speak about Turei Zahav and Nekudot HaKesef. Turei Zahav, rows of gold, is referring to the gold and the stones, like the Turim, Urim V'Tumim, was gold and precious stones, including a diamond, a big one. That was what they had on the horses. And when the horses drowned, all these precious stones and all the gold was washing up in the Yam. Or was actually just falling into their path, because they were walking through the Yam and the horses were being tossed about, and all this gold and precious, which is pouring out. And Moshe says, let's get out of here. But when it came to Nekudot HaKesef, which is referring to the three things that the Jews were forced to take out of Egypt in order. Does anybody know what they were? Kli Kesef, which is why they call it Nekudot HaKesef, was also Kli Zahav, but apparently not as much. And the final thing, or the most expensive thing, or the most important thing that they took out was Smalot. Smalot. Simla. Suits. Dresses. Something wrong with that? What's the most expensive thing there? Kli Zahav. So why don't you go in ascending order? Say you should take out clothing, Smalot, Kli Kesef, and Kli Zahav. Why is it the other way around? Oh, to the Jews, at that point, money was not the issue. It was getting out of the concentration camp striped pajamas. Feel like a person again. You can't appreciate gold and silver if you're an ois mensch. First give me the basics, food, clothing, and shelter. Then we'll talk about diamonds and pearls. You offer diamonds and pearls to a concentration camp survivor, they say, give me a candy bar. Give me a chocolate bar. That's what I want. So I could get that. But yet, Moshe was insistent that they take all that money in Mitzrayim. Why did he let them take the money now? Why did he do something so incredibly, I would say, avant-garde or, almost brazen? Hashem didn't say to move. Hashem is showering all this money on the Jewish people. What, you don't want them to have the money? You just wanted them to have the money. So why did you reverse fields and now you're taking them away?
They're running after them.
What's that? No, they were dead already. They were dead already.
The Egyptians were dead.
Egyptians were all dead. At this point, the Egyptians were all dead, and the gold and the stones are all over the place. And Chazal tell us that they kept finding more. V'hayu Yisrael motzi mosam bayam. They're finding them as they walk through the Yam. As it says, Turei Zahav Nasalach im Nekudas HaKesef. Now, in Shiur HaShirim, this is described as something holy, right? It's part of Shiur HaShirim. Shiur HaShirim is Beged Ruach HaKodesh. It's not a negative thing, this money. Why did Moshe not want them to have it? It's a difficult question. Okay. Now let's...
I read that one of the reasons why Hashem turned the water bitter was because they were so busy with the gashmias of all the
okay.
taken with them.
Okay, good. So that takes us to the next step. The next step was they traveled for 3 days in the Midbar, Velo Matsu Mayim. Vayavo Marasa. Now that place, listen to this pasuk and tell me who you think about. Velo Yachlu Lishtot Mayim Mimara Ki Marim Him. Mem Reish Yud Mem. Gee, who's that remind me of? Al Kain Karishma Mara. What does it mean that the water was bitter, and what does that have to do with Miriam? They didn't have 3 days, right? Nim Sholamayim, and they didn't learn for 3 days, and now they said to Hashem, Manishteh, and what is the instructions? Vayitzak el Adonai, Vayorehu Adonai eitz. Hashem showed him an eitz. Gee, what could the eitz possibly represent? Eitz Chaim Hi Lamachazikim Bo, right? The Torah. Vayashlech el Hamayim, Vayimteku Hamayim. Okay, the waters became sweet. What does that mean? That for them, Limud HaTorah went from a bitter experience to a sweet experience. What does that mean exactly? And they got 3 particular types of parshiot of Torah to learn. They got a sampling of Torah, like a smorgasbord, to learn. What did they get? Chok u'mishpat. V'sham niso. They got chok and mishpat. chok is always a reference to what type of mitzvah? What is a chok? Something that you don't understand, the reasoning behind it. Mishpat is what? Judgment, which is completely rational. Who's correct in this court case, in a financial matter? Who's correct? Who deserves the money? And also, Sham Nisahu, and there they were tested. How did Hashem test them? Because they got the mun. And what was the test of the mun? And which day was the test? Was the big test? Shabbos. So this is a reference where Chazal get that there was 3 different mitzvos type that they learned. The chok that they learned was the most difficult mitzvah to understand. Para aduma. But the Gemara says the Umos Ha'olam make fun of the Torah, say all these crazy laws, lahavdil of Abdullah, and they say like, para aduma, what sense does that make? Not eating pork, what sense does that make? It's not rational, but it's kedusha. They can't comprehend it. We can't comprehend it either. It comes from one of those higher worlds, right? It's coming from up there. That's in Olam Asiyah, you can't appreciate it perhaps, but it is important. The second thing that they got were the laws of Shabbos. And the third thing that they got was dinim, the laws of court cases, trial, the idea of a shofet, a judge. What do those have to do with anything? How is this part of the story? We just put a random selection, or is there something deeper? Is there a reason why these 3 aspects were taught now, that they're germane not to the Torah in general, but to their specific experience that they were going through at that moment? What is it? What do they even have in common? What does Hilchos Shabbos, Choshen Mishpat, the laws of judges, court cases, what judges adjudicate, law, and the idea of paraduma, what do they have to do with each other even? It's very random. It seems like it's very random. Or is it? And, okay. Now, then the next thing that happens, very important, is it says, Vayomer im shamoa tishma lekol Hashem Elokecha. If you're going to listen to Hashem and drink the water, the sweet water regularly, and you're also going to do yashar be'einav, you're going to be a ish yashar, financially and otherwise, v'ha'azanta l'mitzvosav, and you're going to listen to keep Shabbos and so on, v'shamarta kol chukav, and you keep laws like paraduma, kol machala asher samti b'mitzrayim lo asim alecha ki ani anai rofecha. I'm going to be your rofe. Excuse me? Why? What do those 3 things have to do with machala? With machalot? What does that have to do with healing and health? And by the way, notice the word there. Machala. What does that spell? Also, what did Miriam dance around in? A mechola. So Miriam's here in not even so thinly disguised. It's pretty out in the open. Word, what she did. The mecholos, and also the mayim. By the way, where did Klal Yisrael have water from? Why did they have water? The be'er of Miriam. The word be'er also means what? To explain. When Moshe Rabbeinu, on the first day of Shvat, started to teach Mishnah Torah, it says, Hoel Moshe be'er es ha-Torah hazos. Another not so hidden reference to mayim as Torah. Be'er mayim. You give the pilgrims that go to Yerushalayim, you make special arrangements for them on Shabbos to put around like they call them pasei birias, like a quasi-eruv, so that they can go in there and drink. Be'er. Everybody believes that a be'er, you don't have to even make a full eruv, you can just make these little sections, catty corners. And that's enough. You don't need a full eruv. Because we have to give the people a be'er. That's the most important thing, the be'er mayim. Without that, so we're not done. We're not done. Follow the sequence one more step. It says, Vayavo Elima. They came to a place called Elima, and they found there Shtei Mesrei Einot, 12 wells. Oh, wow. They went from 1 to 12. 1 for each shevet. That's what Chazal say. Keneged, Rashi says, Keneged Shnei Masar Shvatim Nizdamnu Lahem Mayim. They each had their own source of water, and also Shivim Tamarim. Shivim Tamarim, 70 date trees, right? Keneged, Shivim Zakenim. Ooh, judges. Okay? That would help Moshe Rabbeinu. And then, of course, the mun arrives. What is the sequence here? Let's review the sequence. I think it's replete with questions, but I think we can construct it into one simple, seamless thought. That'd be a pretty good trick, right? It's out to the Shemaya. Number one, why did Moshe take everybody away from the Yam Suf? What was the difference between the money of the Mitzrim and the money of the horse heads of Avodah Zarah? What's the difference? This you have to take. It's a mitzvah, and if you don't take it, it's an avera. Hashem made 3 days of choshech, in which 2 things were accomplished. What were they accomplished in those 3 days? Well, the first 3 days, the ones that didn't want to go out died. And the second 3 days, what? They looked for all the stuff. Meaning, the people that weren't worthy of taking out the Kedusha from the place that had captured it. Moshe Rabbeinu, Mitzrayim, like Paro, captured Sarah Imenu, right? Captured her. And then, of course, she calls to Hashem, and there's going to be plagues on the house of Paro. That's the whole story. Sarah is the Shechina. The Shechina was on the tent of Sarah, right? The Shechina is in captivity. It's captured because of our Averos. It all goes to the side of evil, Nebuch. We got to get it out. So Moshe says we got to take it out. But we're not ready to take out the Susim. Because Susim represent, and this is a whole other shiur, the ultimate Yetzer Hara. Ultimate. Because what do you use horses for? Well, only 1 of 2 things. Wars and racing. It was the first tank. So it's war, which is what? Ritzicha, murder, right? And contest. Racing is the same idea. It's violent kind of conquest. And it's also associated with znus. It says zermas susim zermasam. It's a promiscuous animal. Promiscuous in the sense that it has all this interest and energy in procreation more than other animals. That's like it likes to race. It has a lot of energy, right? Did you ever see a cow race? Try to race a cow. Here, you put a piece of grass in front of it, it's going to stop and eat the grass. And then, does it care that the other cow's going to win? It doesn't care. You can give it as much grass as you want. It's not going anywhere. Give you some milk. It's not going to race. You can't race certain animals. They're not interested. Horses are very interested. I saw this once in a movie about one of the great horses of all time that won the Triple Crown of racing. Remember a couple of years ago, there was a Triple Crown winner named what? You remember? Owned by a frum guy? Who was that horse owned by? It was called American Pharaoh, ironically. Sus Paro, American Pharaoh. Yeah, we know that family. What's that family's name, Mom? Yeah, I think it's a girl from Crans, right? From Teaneck. But the sister's Crans, right? Married to Crans. We knew a family from Boston named Crans, and one of the sisters married this fellow from Teaneck who had this horse, American Pharaoh. And they went on, when was it? It must have been Pesach. And they stayed there, or maybe it was the Shavuos, and they stayed at Belmont Park and they won. And I said at the time, this is a historic thing, because the Sus, American Pharaoh, the last stage of our Gullus, Susim, are included in Kedusha. How do we know that? Because the Haftorah tells us, the Navi tells us, in the end of days, in which Yom Tov? The Yom Tov of Sukkot, all the nations will go up to Yerushalayim, right? And they're going to take their horses. Jews usually have nothing to do with horses, right? How many Jews you know spend all their money on the horses? Not as many as other ethnic groups, right? It's not our way. We're not betters. We're eaters. We eat. We make money. We don't bet it on the horses, on the ponies. A king has a exactly. Jewish kings have a limitation on horses of all animals. It's the only animal that a king cannot own in mass quantity. Only one. He can have many rabbits as he wants. He can have yone hurdus. You know, hurdus had a lot of parrots, had a lot of cockatoos and all exotic birds. Mishnah speaks about it. They call them yone hurdus. They call them Herod's birds because that's what they collected. You can have anything you want, but you can't have horses. Why not? Horses are a symbol of the Yetzer Hara, of Mitzrayim. Kiva sus paro. It should have said Paro al Suso. What, the horse of Paro came? And where was Paro? Paro wasn't on the horse? Only the horse came? Sus and Paro are one. The Sus Paro. Paro is a Sus. He represents the Sus. What's that? It was the god for them. Yeah, it was one. And it was one of the last gods that didn't... that's why it was struck in the Yam Suf, in the grand finale. There's only one that wasn't struck, and that's Baal Tzafon. And that's how Hashem lured them to the Yam Suf. So what do you see? That the last remaining Egyptian god of all the gods was the horse. And all the money of Mitzrayim, all of the Kedusha that it had stolen from its proper side, from the side of Kedusha, was on the heads of the horses. But in the end, what will be on the heads of all the horses? A golden band. And what is it going to say on it? Kodesh Lashem. The same thing it's going to say. It says on whose golden band on the forehead? The Kohen Gadol. But let me tell you something. That's the very end of the story. Pardon the pun. The tail end of the story. To take the Yetzer Hara and have it completely in the service of Hashem is the final process of redemption. I said American Pharaoh was a good simon. That in America there are certain good things that are helping Klal Yisrael very much. It was a place where Jews could live until most recently without fear of worshiping openly until now. And of course it supported Torah. Tremendous support for Torah because people are living in all sorts of programs and welfare and they're having parnasa and making a lot of money. And where's that money going to? Going into the Archikala over here in the Aguda. All the guys make money, and they bring it here. So, horses are the thing that even the Avos... Did the Avos have any horses? Did you ever hear of Avram riding a horse? What does Avram ride? It's either a Gamal or a Chamor. Avram never rode it. Well, he didn't ride camels. He had a lot of camels, but... his vehicle was a donkey. Whose vehicle? What did Yaacov go down to Mitzrayim on? Also on a chamor, a hybrid chamor, right? Yeah. Take a horse. Why not a horse? Yeah. It says take the finest. These were like the trucks. They're like trucks. A horse is not used for that. A horse doesn't want to run up the hills and down the hills and schlep heavy loads. That's not for a horse. A horse wants to be free. That's why there's so many horses that, it's why wild horses are famous. They want to run, and they want to do what they want to do. They want to fulfill their Yetzer Hara. They're not interested in helping. Chamor is all about service. A Gamal is also about service. On and on and on. It has one kosher simon. A horse doesn't even have one kosher simon. Do you know that? It doesn't chew its cud, and it doesn't have a split hoof. Nothing. Gornished. It's beautiful. And when will it be beautiful? When it's used, what? In the service of Kedusha, like everything else. And when's the epitome day of that, by the way? Shabbos. Shabbos is the day where the Ari says, whatever you eat on Shabbos, even if you overeat on Shabbos. My wife is such a good cook, and my mom is such a good... I zocha to two incredible cooks in my life, my wife and my mother. Shabbos comes, what are you going to do? None of that... It says, Ari says an amazing thing. He says, if you overeat during the week, you eat more than your body requires, then that sustenance goes to the Sitra Achra. You're actually building and contributing to evil. Overeating during the week promotes your Yetzer Hara, promotes evil. Overeating on Shabbos is fine. You can eat as much as you want. And it goes on all the levels of pleasure. The kedusha of Shabbos is when zivug the kedusha, intimacy on Shabbos is considered a very, very high level of kedusha. It's higher than during the week, even in the context of chuppah and kedusha, higher. So now let's go further. So why did Moshe not allow the Jewish people to take the Bizos Hayam? Because they weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for it. They had just come through the beginning stage. They had to leave it there. It's not mashma that they took it at all. It says that they found it, but it doesn't mean that they took it. Or Moshe probably let them take some, but not all. And that's because to get the Sus Kodesh Lashem, we have a long way. How did Moshe know he had a long way? Because in the Shirat Hayam, Hashem already told him, Tiviyemo v'titayemo, Moshe, you're not going to be around to take these people and build the Beis Hamikdash. Then that's going to be the end of the story. When the Susim are going to... Not happening yet. This is a process. We got to go through Etrog. We got to go through the Emunah. What was the Emunah? Bris Milah and Korban Pesach, right? And they had to go do Tshuva, right? And now, what are the Jews up to? The stage of Refuah. Ani Hashem Rofecha. You got the Et, but you don't got the rogue. Or maybe you're still a little bit of a rogue. Can't stop here. We got to go forward. How are you going to go forward? We got to teach you the mitzvos, and you have to embed yourself in Torah. Anchor yourself in Torah. Now look at those things. It's incredible. What do they have to do with each other? They each represent the future. Something you're working towards. Shabbos. Why is Shabbos the future? Yom Shekulo Shabbos. Shabbos represents where we're heading. Every week we have a reminder. This is not it. This is not the be-all and end-all. Like you said, the goal that we have, it's not the story. We got to move ahead. We're going to get to that seventh day, the end of history. When do you use a para aduma? When you're building the Beis Hamikdash. And you're going to need one for the hardest para aduma you're going to ever find is which one? The one that we need for the third Beis Hamikdash. That's what they were learning about. Saying, we got a long ways to go. We're going to need this para aduma way into the future. And not only that, but dinim. When is Hashem going to make the final judgment of all mankind? Bayom hahu. Yashem echad shmo echad. Lishpot et har Esav. It's an incredible. This I'll add. This is my added value. That those mitzvahs are really focusing them that they have a ways to go and to strive in that direction. Why did Miriam step in and all of a sudden make a big fat splash? But yet it was only the first pasuk. At least most Meforshim say that she really did say the whole thing. But the Torah only focuses on one pasuk. Miriam was doing what she did so well. When we find out that there's really no hope for an immediate redemption, what does Miriam, because everything looks bad in the here and now, what does Miriam Neviah come up to say?